What did I say in the last part? That I find torch zombies difficult? That I consider camels tough enemies? Forget it. In this video, I completed all of the pirate seas without using any green plants. I was honestly shocked by the difficulty spike. If the previous part was just an introduction, the pirate seas turned into a place where every living being, even the very location itself, was designed solely to humiliate me in this challenge. Every zombie seemed like it was created just to mess with me today. Countless attempts, different strategies, and dozens of hours spent on this location. I'm gonna tell you all about it in this video, but first, let me remind you of the rules of the challenge in case you've forgotten, or if this is your first time watching. I won't go over everything, but here are the most important parts. First, I do not use any green plants. This includes all of their animations, attack colors, and everything they do using the color green. Second, I will not use any in-game mechanics that involve the color green, such as fertilizers. Third, if I fail a level, I can use a plant from the Premium Plants pack to help me. And lastly, I skip all conveyor and levels with preset plants. Now with the rules out of the way, let's continue our adventure. This time we're tackling the second location, Pirate Seas. To be honest, the one thing I feared the most going into this was the limited space. I wasn't scared of the zombies or the higher difficulty. What worried me the most was not being able to place mines on these tiles. I probably should have thought about what might await me here, but I was clearly too busy. Anyway, let's move on to the first level. It starts with a relatively simple wave of zombies and introduces this new zombie type. Its feature is that it flies across half the field and usually lands on these restricted lines. It's a pretty dangerous opponent, but at least, unlike what we'll face later, we can kill it. Mines counter it easily, and the level itself is passable without too much trouble. But level 2? Yeah, here we have those annoying seagull zombies. Well, first off, they can't be killed by my plants because they don't trigger the mines. Funny, right? But how do I deal with them then? Well, there are a couple of ways. One's fair and the other might be a little questionable, but it works in certain situations. The first method is to hold these zombies back with walnuts and survive until the last wave, and then take them out with the lawn mowers. And let's talk about the second method. Before that, let me explain something. The game has a mechanic where if a zombie stays off the field for 5-10 seconds, it just disappears. This is to prevent soft locks. It seems to work only if all waves are complete or if there are no other zombies on the field. Honestly, I didn't dive deep into this, but both conditions seem important. Now I think you get how I used it. If not, here's how. After the seagull zombie, who by the way was the last one on this level, flew slightly beyond the end of the field, I placed a walnut, and while the zombie was munching on it, it just disappeared. There are no cuts, it really disappears under these circumstances, and you can test it yourself. This trick can only be used in very specific situations because it's not always possible to leave just one seagull zombie at the end, but in this case, it helped me pass the level and move on. By the way, there are a few changes compared to the last part, and first, I'll be using iceberg lettuce now. You guys mostly said it's a fair plant to use, so I'll be adding it to my arsenal. However, I won't be using it until level 8. Until then, you'll see a few levels without it. Secondly, I'm removing sweet potato from my plant list because, as it turns out, it has dark green eyes. Don't ask how I missed that, I have no idea. Lastly, fire pea shooter will now be added to the premium plants list to replace sweet potato. I think it fits well and it's not green, so it's fair. Now that we've clarified that, let's move on to level 3, which unlike the previous one, doesn't have any seagulls, so it was pretty easy. There is no point in lingering here, just like level 4, which is identical to level 3. Although I lost once on it, I don't think it's worth talking about much, so let's jump straight to the fun part, level 5. The seagulls are back and the number of lines they spawn from has tripled. So, how to even deal with them? Well, I'll tell you right away. I don't know. No matter what I tried, I couldn't stop those 3 lines of seagulls, so I decided it was time to use premium plants. At first I tried fire pea shooter, but it didn't really work out. Using iceberg lettuce helped me get to the last wave, but the final wave of seagulls was just too much, and I couldn't make it through, so I had to switch plants. Next I tried the imitator, I tried duplicating mines, then walnuts, but my attempts were easily crushed by those stupid seagull zombies. Eventually I went with the ice dragon, and that made it way easier. With it I was able to push through. On the next level, seagulls appeared again, and once again it was impossible to pass without premium plants. So I used the imitator again, duplicated the walnuts, then mines, but nothing worked. so I decided to try a fire pea shooter. Surprisingly, it didn't make the level much easier. It was really good against the seagull zombies, but the rest of the zombies, especially in large groups, could take it down easily. But by this point, I was already used to dealing with regular zombie waves, and my main enemy here was still the seagull zombies. With them out of the way, I was finally able to finish the level. Afterward, we get spikes as a reward, which means the next level has barrel zombies. Funny guys, they love to stroll across the field and destroy my walnuts within grown mines. We don't have a good counter to them, so without premium plans, I'm pretty much doomed. But with premium plans, things improve a bit. My first choice was of course the imitator. Life hasn't taught me anything, and I still haven't learned that duplicating my useless mine and pointless walnut is usually well, pointless. The zombies easily broke through and I couldn't do much to stop them. Using walnuts didn't give me enough sun, and using mines, well, didn't matter. So I didn't even bother with mines and decided to bring something stronger. Fire pea shooter. Even with it, most of my lawnmowers were destroyed, but crucially, they were destroyed just before the last wave, which finally allowed me to defeat what seemed like an unstoppable zombie horde and pass the level. Next is level 8, which is a conveyor level, so we skip it and go straight to level 9, where there were no seagull zombies or barrel zombies. I don't know why the game gave me such a break, but I'm really thankful for it. I finally remembered that you can actually enjoy playing this game. Of course, I might forget this on the next level, because here, there were both seagull zombies and barrel zombies. And as a bonus, we also got this idiot of a zombie. I have no idea what's going on, either they're messing with me or what, but this is another zombie that totally doesn't fit the challenge. In combination with the previously released zombies, it's impossible to break through, so I had to resort to premium plans again. I started with the fire stump. Even with the 3 waves and all those terrible zombies, I managed to get through the level. My main strategy was to spam fire stumps on the lines where seagull zombies and barrel zombie launching guns appear. This helped protect the important lawnmowers and kill all the zombies, and I also moved on to the level 11. Almost halfway through the game, and by the way, there are only 7 more levels until I unlock the 4th plant in our deck. But more on that later. Let's talk about the new challenges now. The level has the same zombie composition as the last one, so I immediately went for premium plants again. I decided to pick the fire stump again, but for some strange reason, I have no idea why, I got beaten. 5 times, 5 attempts, and the problem was the barrel zombies. These idiots kept coming so frequently, and they were my main enemies. After losing 5 times, I realized that the run wasn't going well, and I needed to change the plant. I swapped to the fire pea shooter, but for some reason, I got beaten easily again. There wasn't enough damage to take out all the zombies, so I had no choice but to pick my final premium plant, the ice dragon. With it, things became a lot easier. After spending a few dozen attempts, I realized that without splash damage, I wouldn't stand a chance. The fire stump could have helped with that, but the sun shortage didn't allow me to place it often enough. In the end, the 11th level turned out to be the hardest so far in this video, but we can move on. Level 12 is a coconut cannon minigame, so we skip it, but level 13 cannot be skipped. And it's actually quite interesting. It has a sun collecting challenge, and there's also a new Captain Zombie on the zombie side. Let's start with the sun challenge. Since I don't have any sun producing plants, I decided to complete it quickly at the end. This is pretty fair and it doesn't affect my gameplay much. Now about the zombies. That's a different story. The pirate zombie didn't scare me at first. I thought it would be easy to deal with, but I was wrong. I didn't account for the parrot it sends to steal plants, which at least 3 times stole my poor walnuts. Fortunately, there were no seagulls, no guns, and no barrel zombies on the level, so this theft didn't lead to anything catastrophic. Even with this, I managed to get through the level, but on the next level, no one was gonna be so merciful. There were seagulls, barrel zombies, and this new captain, but luckily, this level was a defense building one. Although maybe it's a bit unfortunate, because honestly, coming up with a strategy to hold off all the zombies, including seagull zombies and barrel zombies, was really tough. With regular plants, I tried 2 strategies, failed both, and decided to go with fire stumps. It got a bit easier with fire stumps. I managed a few times, but then I was heavily interrupted by the parrots, which kept stealing my stumps. With a stump, I tried different tactics, some of them worked, but mostly it was the pirates that ruined my progress. Surprisingly, one strategy did manage to get me through the level. It involved placing fire stumps on the top and bottom rows for the seagulls and barrel imps, walnuts for regular zombies, and mines for barrel zombies. The goal of the walnuts and fire stumps was to defend and hold off the remaining zombies. I worked on this strategy for a long time, and I was really happy when it worked, even though I was on the verge of failure. I don't know about difficulty, but level 14 was definitely the most interesting one. Still, I won't linger on it, let's move on. Level 15 has a challenge where zombies can't pass through a flower line. Considering the zombies, this level seems pretty tough, but here the 3-spot plan the game gives me at the start really helps. With that, everything becomes much easier, or at least the seagull zombies and guns in those 3 rows don't make it that hard. Overall, I was right about this. The main difficulty was the lower rows. I couldn't protect them with my regular setup, but when I used sun toads, I easily passed the level. All I had to do was protect the lower 2 rows, while the 3-spot plant mostly handled the upper ones. Now I'm about to unlock the 4th plant, but before that, I still have 3 levels left. I hoped they wouldn't be too difficult, but unfortunately the game had other plans. The next level immediately gives me a challenge with protecting the beans, but they're placed in such a way that I can't even place mines in front of them. As a result, I lost without premium plans, but with fire stumps, things got a lot better. It went noticeably smoother, and despite a few problems, I passed the level and moved on to the 17th level. This level has a challenge to kill 10 zombies in 20 seconds, plus all my favorite zombies appear. First, the number of zombies here is enormous, and with gun explosions in the final wave, the field can end up looking like this. And how do I counter that? Well, I can't. Using fire stumps, I got some success, but in the end, the sun shortage and the sheer number of zombies buried me. I tried using sun toads, but it didn't work because of the barrel zombies. I then switched to fire pea shooters, but because of the same barrel zombies, I had to bring in the ice dragon. With it, I finally managed to clear the level. It's a shame it can be done with something less overpowered, but at least I'm closer to getting the new plant in my deck. To get it, I just need to pass one more level. Fortunately, this level gives me pre-selected plants, so we skip it. The reward is stone, and yeah, they become the 4th plant in my deck. These plants are completely gray except for their yellow eyes. Perfect for this challenge, but will they really help much? That's still to be seen. Their main problem is the cost, but they do kill zombies really well, and when combined with the walnut I unlocked, they can even take down the toughest zombies. So the plant is great, and I passed the level without any problems. Let's move on. I don't want to stretch out the boring levels too much, so I'll just say that all levels up to level 23 were very easy, so I'll skip right to it. The level itself is similar to level 19. It's also about protecting flowers, but there is a small difference. Now, in addition to the flower line, I also have to defend the water line from a large wave of seagull zombies. The first time I failed because I reacted too late to the presence of seagull zombies and didn't place enough walnuts. On my second attempt, things went better. I immediately started placing lots of walnuts on the bottom row, so the seagull zombies only broke through in the last wave. With near perfect timing, the lone mower wiped out all the seagulls on the bottom row, and I didn't have much trouble with other zombies. Throughout the level, I felt a shortage of sun due to spending so much on walnuts for the bottom row, but overall, it didn't hinder my ability to hold off the zombies. Now let's move on to what's probably the most interesting part of this video, the final level. In this level, I need to protect 2 jumping beans. There are cannons, rope zombies, seagulls, and other scary enemies. The setup means that the beans can only be protected using ranged attacks, so I immediately chose a premium plant, the sun toad. Let's break down the main difficulties, although I think you already know what they are. The main challenge is, of course, the cannons. No matter how much I wanted to pass the level with sun toads, they just couldn't kill all the imps in time, and as a result, the imps ate my poor beans. There was no real counter to this, so I won't linger here. Let's move on to the next plant I chose, the fire pea shooter. Things went better with the fire pea shooters. Unlike the sun toads, they can kill not only the imps, but also the cannons themselves. They also do quite well against the seagulls and pirates. However, they have a big downside, their high cost. By the end of the level, with the need to defend the 2 lines with mines and walnuts while trying to save sun, I was only able to place about 5 or 6 fire pea shooters in the important water lanes. This wasn't enough. I lost a lot of times, and after realizing I wouldn't make it with this strategy, I decided to use the ice dragon. There's not much to say here. With the ice dragon, I passed the level very easily, and unlike the previous plants, I cleared it in just one try without much difficulty. Well, I think it's time to sum up the location since the final level has been completed. The hardest level here, honestly, I'm not sure. In Egypt, level 20 was always on my mind, but here, when I try to remember what caused me the most trouble, there are 5 levels that come to mind that could be crowned as the hardest. I can't choose one specific level, so I leave this location without a definitive hardest level. However, when it comes to zombies, I can definitely say the hardest zombies here were the seagull zombies. There were countless zombies on this location that kept me from progressing. Some were less troublesome, some more, but almost every level had these awful flying zombies, and I rarely had a counter for them. And with that, this part of the video comes to an end. The next levels in the Wild West are just as tough, but I'll talk about them in the next part of this challenge. Be sure to like and subscribe to increase the chances of the next part being released. With that, this video is coming to an end. This was Slon, and I'll see you in the next one.